go about being a brand spanking new business owner to actually having a personal brand that stands out, is intentional, and actually connects with your ideal audience? Well, keep on watching to find out. Welcome back to my channel, the #1 place for VAs, social media managers, and designers who are looking to build a standout brand online and live the laptop lifestyle. Well, I am super excited for today's video because we're going to be diving into all things personal branding, aka one of my favorite topics. And before we kind of begin here, I actually wanted to clarify what a personal brand even is, because I know it's really become this big buzzword in the online space, but not a lot of people actually know what it means. So a lot of people actually associate branding with like choosing the right colors, fonts, logos, etc. for their business, which does actually tie into the visual aspect of their brand. But what a personal brand truly is how your audience perceives you when they come across or hear about your company's name, service, or product. Now, a really big mistake that many online business owners make is that they actually think their personal brand is just what they tell everyone else that it is, or what they put out on social media. But like Jeff Bezos says, your brand is actually what people say about you when you're not in the room. So you really want to make sure that the way that you perceive yourself and the way that your audience perceives you, both on and offline, is really one and the same, because if there is a mismatch between the two, then you really aren't building a strong personal brand and you actually won't fully stand out online. So when you are just starting to build a brand on Instagram, or even just be way more intentional actually building a brand moving forward, you do want to ask yourself the question of, what do I actually want to be known for? Because at the end of the day, you really want to be building a brand and not just a business. And the reason for this is that building a brand is really what's going to allow you to connect and relate to your audience, build that know, like, and trust, scale, as well as actually pivot your business in the future. Because let's be honest, chances are you aren't just going to be wanting to do the same task or even offer the same services 10 to 20 years down the line. So really building that recognizable brand from the get-go, where you can actually take your audience along with you and really be known for something, is actually what's going to allow you to grow and pivot your business down the line, and really not just be tied to what you did or what you offered when you first started. So really clarify what you want to be known for and truly own that in your space, and really be consistent. That is key. And then from there, you can really communicate that within your own content, your social media strategy, when you talk with clients, people in the DMs, etc. And like I said before, your personal brand isn't just what you think about yourself, but it's really how your audience, your friends, your family, your peers really perceive you. So you want to make sure that there's just not that disconnect between the two, and you're really doing a good job in terms of actually communicating what you really want to be perceived as and what your personal brand truly represents. So for example, last week I actually asked my own audience on my Instagram stories, like, what words come up when you think or hear about me? This is something you can even do for yourself. But some of the responses I got were like personable, relatable, laptop lifestyle, transparent, bubbly, marketing tips, Instagram strategy, even mac and cheese, because I show that a lot. Personal branding, Bali, etc. And those are basically the words that my audience or peers actually associate me and my brand with. And I would say that they are pretty spot on with how I actually perceive myself and how I really want my brand to be perceived moving forward. And that's exactly why today's video is all about helping you actually bridge that gap between what you think of your brand and what your audience thinks of your brand, so that they're actually aligned and you ultimately build that strong and cohesive brand on Instagram moving forward. Tip number 2 is to go ahead and be authentic. And before you roll your eyes at me and you're like, Shannon, that is the most basic tip, just hear me out. Because I know when you're just starting your business, it is super tempting to kind of want to look at what everybody else is doing in your space and really thinking that you have to do the same, have the same business, same personality, same offers, brand colors, whatever it might be, in order to be quote unquote successful. But like the whole point of actually building this personal brand is to actually distinguish yourself and stand out from your competitors and not be just like them. And if you're not authentic, I promise you that people can spot it from a mile away, and you're really not going to attract your dream clients. So truly be yourself, as that's ultimately what's going to build up that relatability and connection factor and really help you build that strong personal brand on Instagram. Tip number 3 is to go ahead and actually share your story. Now, if that sentence just made you want to curl up in a ball and hide in the corner of your room, I get it. I was actually terrified to share my story online when I first started because I truly did not think anybody cared. I didn't think I was relatable, and quite frankly, I was actually embarrassed to share it with my audience at first, until one day my mentor asked me to just tell her everything that happened leading up to actually starting my business. So I did, and she sent me back this super long voice note basically saying, Shannon, that was one of the most relatable stories I've ever heard. You need to share that. So I did, and I basically slowly started to share with my audience how I came across the bucket list bombshell ad my senior year of college, how I quit a job working at an Instagram marketing company and ended up moving 3,000 miles to be with my then college boyfriend, to then finding out that he had been cheating on me just 3 days before Christmas. It was lovely. And then I actually ended up booking a one-way ticket to Bali and launching my business. So that's my story in a 2-second nutshell. So the truth is that by sharing my story, I've actually gotten so many messages from other women telling me that they too started their businesses after coming across the bucket list bombshell ad, that they too unfortunately have gotten cheated on, or that they also want to live that laptop lifestyle. So all of these things that I was once so petrified to share online is actually what allowed me to connect and relate to them, build amazing relationships, attract dream clients to me, and ultimately build that strong brand. And the last little note about sharing your story, and hopefully this alleviates some of the anxiety, is that you don't actually have to share absolutely everything about your life. You know, you really get to decide what parts of your story are really going to move that message and your brand forward, and ultimately what you want to be known for, so really keep that in mind. Tip number 4 is to go ahead and actually establish your own content pillars, and what these are essentially topics or themes that you ultimately want to be known for within your own space. I really recommend having anywhere between 3 to 5 content pillars, as this is going to make coming up with content so much more easy and really actually establish yourself as that go-to gal within those same topics, aka building up your brand. So for example, my own content pillars are social media marketing tips, personal branding, and really living that laptop lifestyle. So these are topics that I actually consistently talk about within my own Instagram content, my website, and even on my YouTube banner. So go ahead and actually pick 3 to 5 content pillars that are relevant to your niche, your ideal clients, their interests, their pain points, etc., and really be consistent with it, because from there you're going to be able to start to build your brand around those same topics, and your audience is actually going to be on the same exact page as you. Tip number 5 is to know your audience. So yes, a personal brand is personal and it is you, but ultimately you can't have a successful business if you don't have an audience. So in order to really attract those ideal clients to you and your brand, you need to first understand A, who you are as a brand and what you actually want to be known for, so like I talked about earlier, and B, who your audience truly is, because once you actually know who your audience is from the inside out and you truly understand them, that's when you can actually go ahead and connect and relate to them in your content and ultimately speak directly to them, their pain points, their goals, their desires, their values, etc. For example, if you're a web designer and your brand is all about living the laptop lifestyle, and that's really the kind of business owner that you want to attract, those same business owners that either are or want to live that laptop lifestyle, then you really want to make sure that in your content you are speaking directly to them and those same values. So knowing yourself and really knowing who your audience truly is actually key to building that strong and intentional personal brand on Instagram or whatever social media platform you end up choosing. So far in this video, I've talked about clarifying what you want to be known for, being authentic, sharing your story, picking your content pillars, and lastly, knowing your audience, because all of these things combined are really going to make up your personal brand. But like I mentioned earlier, consistency is key, and that's truly what's going to make your brand recognizable and stand out amongst the masses. And while you wait for next week's video, definitely go ahead and actually check out these videos here, as I do share my own tips and strategies on actually attracting your ideal audience to you and landing your first paid client. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make today count, and I'll see you in the next video.